Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Hallmark Plus More, where we watch and talk about shows, movies, mysteries, Hallmark ornaments, and anything else that floats our boat. So today I'm going to be reviewing a Hallmark Christmas movie. It's called Holiday Touchdown, a Chief's Love Story. So before I get into the review, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watches my videos and subscribes to my channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. So this movie, obviously Holiday Touchdown, it's about football. And I don't know if a lot of you know the background of Hallmark, so I just want to spend a minute and do that too. Hallmark Cards, Hallmark Channel, is headquartered in Kansas City. So I know a lot of people had a lot of talk about this movie. I know there's a lot of stuff in the media right now with Kansas City Chiefs, with Travis and Taylor Swift, and even with Donna, Travis's mom, because she does play a role in this movie. But it's not really about all of that. It's really Hallmark was in and still is in Kansas City. So this is their home football team, and I feel like this is something that they've kind of been in the works for a few years. Hallmark said they've always kind of wanted to do a Hallmark kind of football movie around their football team. So obviously now, there's a lot of talk, with Travis and Taylor. But this movie, you don't see them. You actually just see Donna, Mama Kelsey. She does great in this movie. But it's really about a love story that is around the Kansas City Chiefs, the family. So I thought it was very heartfelt. I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed the movie. I am personally a football fan, but I do not live anywhere near Kansas City. So, I do get a lot of the football references, even though you don't have to love football to watch this movie, because it really isn't about like the actual football players on the field. It's really about family, and I think that's what I fell in love with as I watched this movie. The other thing that I fully enjoyed with this movie was all of the actors and actresses. I mean, her parents, her grandparents. I mean, there is so many great actors and actresses in this movie. You watch it and you're like, oh, I know him or I know her. And not from Hallmark, just from other movies in the secular world outside of Hallmark land. So it is definitely great to see so many famous other actors and actresses in this movie. And it's a really sweet story. So it starts out kind of as a flashback. So Elena is a young woman, and she is basically the love of the Chiefs is why she's here, right? So two families, a mother and a father with a daughter, and a mother and father who had a son. So the three of them, they both had season tickets, and their season tickets were right next to each other in the stadium. So the little girl was sitting next to the little boy, and they got to know each other because, like I said, their families, they were both only child, and they had season tickets to the Chiefs. So every game you see this little boy and this little girl sit next to each other, and it kind of blossoms. They start dating, they get married, and they basically have Elena. So Chiefs really is the reason she's here today, right? Because her grandparents had season tickets. That's how her parents got together. They still have those same season tickets. So, the love story is basically they have a love for this sport, this game, because it really brought people together. Their families brought them together, and you see all of them in here. One of her grandmother Patty passed away. But everybody else is still there. Her dad's parents, and her mom's parents, and you see, like I say, out of the grandparents, out of the three, only one had passed. So you see them all there. You see her parents. They own a store called KC Corner, Kansas City Corner, and it's all football memorabilia, everything, Chiefs this, Chiefs that. and that's their family business. So really, they have a love for the game, but it's also a love that brought their family together. So Elena, she's also an only child, and she kind of she always says, like, I'm offspring basically of my parents falling in love. My grandparents had season tickets, that's where they met, that's why I'm here. And she's taking over the family business of the Casey Corner. So and the love interest is Tyler Haynes, who I love. He's such an amazing actor. But I also like Elena, who's played by Hunter King. She's amazing too. So having them as the main characters, they do so great in this movie. And when I first heard about the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, she's going to fall in love with the football player, But I loved how he wasn't a football player. Tyler Haynes plays... he's actually a director of fan engagement. So when I say I thought she was falling in love with a football player, and you would see a cameo by Travis, and Mama Kelsey's in there, I'm like, okay, it's going to be something to that nature. Or they're going to kind of follow Taylor and Travis's love story. She's going to have something to do with music, or, but it's not at all. Mama Kelsey's in there, Donna Kelsey, but it's not following their love story. Like I say, she was a product of her parents going to the games, and now she runs their store. And he is the director of fan engagement, and they have a contest for like the super fan of the year. And so that's where he is. His name is Derek Taylor. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I kind of like this now. I can follow this. Not that there's anything wrong with falling in love with a football player. Don't get me wrong. Hallmark has done it already. I like that movie, but it was a nice change to see she's falling in love with somebody from the front office. And, Derek doesn't really have roots anywhere. He travels for his job. Not really a big Chiefs fan. Elena and her family, they know the history. They have a framed jersey, from a Hall of Famer from the Chiefs. They know the history of everything. They have this Santa hat, or I'm sorry, not a Santa hat, a Chiefs hat that was given to her grandfather from Santa. And they have this kind of superstition that when you wear this Santa hat on Christmas Day, the Chiefs win. And they don't, or should I say, not necessarily the Chiefs win, but they go on to the Super Bowl. They don't necessarily win the Super Bowl, but they have this superstition that this Chiefs hat that was given to their grandfather by Santa, whenever it's worn on Christmas Day, they don't have to play on Christmas Day, because the Chiefs don't always play on Christmas Day, but it has to be worn on Christmas Day. They go to the Super Bowl. Like I said, they don't have to win the Super Bowl, but they have. So they kind of have it like framed in like a case in this KOC corner store. So when Derek basically goes there and finds out the family history, that's part of the Fan of the Year award. They have 3 finalists, and she's one of them. One of the other finalists is a cat who looks like Mahomes, which I thought was very funny. It's a cute little cat. And then the third finalist does their entire house decorate, almost like a Christmas Vacation front of the house, except Chiefs. Totally decked out. And then Alana is the third finalist with her story about her family, how basically her family is there because of their love for the Chiefs. So it's kind of like a sweet love story about the family. And it kind of goes along where Derek and Alana kind of fall for each other. But it's funny how it came to be, because her grandparents own a barbecue place, which is big in Kansas City. If you've been to Kansas City, barbecue is big there, called Norma and Nick's Barbecue. So the people in Kansas City, obviously for the Chiefs, they're familiar with Kansas City. But like I was said earlier with Derek, he just travels for work. So he's not really invested in the Chiefs. He doesn't know the history as much as Elena and their super fans do. So they're like, hey, get to know the town. Go get some barbecue. Go to this great place, Norma and Nick's. They're great barbecue. So he obviously has no idea who Elena is, because he hasn't met the super fans yet. But he's just going out for barbecue, not realizing it's a grandparents' barbecue place. So he kind of meets her before he knows she's a participant, or a finalist for this, and she doesn't know who Derek is either. So being an only child, her parents and grandparents are always trying to set her up, right? And it turns out Derek is an only child too, so he said, he completely understands where they're coming from there. So they have these, kismet, meets where they kind of run into each other, like at the barbecue place. So I really loved seeing that love story develop between Derek and Elena, mainly because they're such great actors and actresses. Their chemistry is phenomenal. I love that. I loved seeing the chemistry between the parents and the grandparents, because like I said, if you watch this movie, you're going to recognize them. You're going to be like, oh yes, I know him from this movie, or I know her from this sitcom. Like the cast is amazing. And I loved that too. Every single scene in this movie is great. And then Donna Kelsey is a waitress at the barbecue place. So you see her in a couple scenes. And then at the very end of the movie, she obviously wins the fan of the year. And so she gets presented with her, award, her trophy, on it, during a Chiefs game. So it's funny because at the sidelines, then you see Donna, and it's like Donna's now playing Donna. You saw her earlier and her name tag said Donna, but she was just a waitress in the barbecue place. And then in the end, you kind of see her in real life, and she's wearing her, her son's jersey like she wears. You don't talk to her, but you do see her, and it's like she's just playing herself. So I thought that was kind of cool. She had like a role in the movie, and then at the end, you're at a Chiefs game, and you're just seeing her at the sidelines like, she would be. Well, I guess normally she's in the booth, but still, like, she's playing herself. She's not playing a barbecue waitress on the sidelines of the Chiefs. She's playing, and she's wearing her jersey like you've seen on the TV. So I thought that was cool too. She kind of played dual roles there, so to speak. And I mentioned a little bit the storyline about the hat. There's a superstition about who wears the hat. So one year, nobody wore the hat. And some of the people were like, well, how come nobody wore the hat in 2021? They didn't make, the playoffs, or they didn't get there. And you kind of hear why. The grandfather was in the hospital with a heart attack. And so the whole family was there. And it just wasn't really important. Family was important. They had that scare. So you kind of find out about that. And then, so when they win, obviously they publish a story in the newspaper. So now all of the fans, everybody knows about this hat, that if the hat is worn on Christmas Day, the Chiefs will get into the Super Bowl. So, I mean, some people believe the superstition, some people don't, but everybody knows it now. So when she goes on the field, to accept her trophy, she lost the hat. She had it on display. They had like a party at Arrowhead for all the finalists, and she kind of had it displayed. And then everybody kind of got distracted because the Chiefs are going to play the Eagles on Christmas Day, and it used to just be a regular game, but 3 other teams all won their games. So now this game that they're playing on Christmas Day against the Eagles is like a must win. Before it was just a game. Now, since other teams won and other teams lost, now it's a must win in order to get into the playoffs. So now it's kind of a big deal, but everybody's like, well, you got the hat. We're going to win because the game's on Christmas Day. It doesn't have to be, but that's when you wear the hat, wear a shoe-in. And so she's getting nervous because she lost it. And now she is going to accept the award, at the stadium with all the fans, and she doesn't have the hat. So she decides, like, she can't face them, and she's not going to go up. The family, they're tailgating. The family's like, well, we're going in. You decide what you want to do. And then she sees another fan, a Chiefs fan, and he's like, hey, where's your hat? And she's like, oh, I lost the hat. And he's like, that's okay. I got my lucky socks on. I always wear these socks. They're my lucky socks. The Chiefs are still going to win. And his wife or girlfriend, the woman he's with, is all decked out in Eagles gear because they're playing the Eagles that day. And he was like, come on, Patty. And she was like, Patty? Like, that was her grandmother's name. And so she was like, all right, That's the sign I need. I'm going in. So she goes in on the sidelines. She's still a little upset because she thinks everybody's going to be mad that she's not wearing the hat if the Chiefs don't win. But like I said, seeing the guy outside with the Lucky Socks and his, whoever he was with in the Eagles gear, his name was Patty. So that kind of like gave her, the courage to go in. And in a very heartfelt moment for Derek. She said her little speech, this is my family's love story. This is how everything came about with the Chiefs. And they're like, where's the lucky hat? And she's like, I'm sorry, the lucky hat, I don't have it. I'm not wearing it today. But it's more than just a hat. It's about love. It's about family. And the Chiefs are still going to win. And of course, the stadium goes crazy because, everybody else has like the guy with his Lucky Socks. So she realizes like, hey, they're not going to be angry with me. And then Derek says to the fans, everybody look under your seat. And basically he set up this free giveaway of hats. Like you look under your seat and every single person in the stadium has this hat that was the superstitious hat. And I don't know why I teared up. Like I did not expect to be so taken by this movie, but it definitely surprised me. I teared up. I was like, oh, that's so sweet and so emotional. She's so worried about this hat, and Derek said, we're giving it away. Everybody in the stadium is going to wear the hat today. It's not the specific hat that you have framed that you wore every Christmas that gets them into the Super Bowl, but we're letting it live on and we're giving a free giveaway. Everybody in the stadium, look under your seat, put on the hat. So now everybody in the stadium is wearing this hat. So it was a very touching moment because I feel like that was, Derek and Alana are both kind of, it's like Derek understood throughout the whole movie. I mentioned earlier, he's in the front office. He's the director of fan engagement. He's not a player. He's not really a fan. He doesn't know the history of the Chiefs. This is just a job to him, right? It's not part of his family like Elena. She doesn't, he doesn't live and breathe Chiefs. He doesn't have all the Chief clothing and gear and run a store for Kansas City Chiefs. So I mean, he doesn't believe in the superstitions. He's not really. So this was a really sweet gesture to say to Elena, like, look, you lost the hat. We all are wearing the hat. So it was such a sweet, touching moment that it got me choked up. And it surprised me. I wasn't expecting to get so emotional watching it. And being a football fan, my family watched football growing up. So, I love watching football. I love watching college sports. When I was in college, I just love the camaraderie. I love the togetherness. I love rooting for somebody. It's almost like rooting for the underdog, It's such a great thing to be a part of a team. It's almost like when you play sports in school. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's the fact that you're a part of a team, that you team building, even when you in a workplace, they say team building exercises. It's just important to be a part of a team. So I just love that. I thought it was a touching moment because Elena thought she was in it alone. She, this hat was her responsibility. She felt guilty. She thought she was going to let everybody down. And Derek was like, we're in it together. She realized that too. We're in it as a family. It's not just a hat. It's tradition. And then the last scene in the movie, you kind of see somebody selling popcorn and you see the Santa and he goes up to the grandfather and goes, I think you lost this. And he was like, no, I got mine. Because, everybody had one from under the seat. And the Santa was like, no, I think you dropped this. And you open up the hat and it says the word Paul in it, which is the exact same hat that he was given that started the entire tradition of the hat being worn on Christmas. And then you see the flashback of the grandfather getting the original hat from Santa. And it's like the same Santa. So, I mean, obviously it's not because this is years and years apart, but that's the magic of Hallmark. That's the magic of Christmas. You see the flashback and it's like, wait, that's the same Santa. How did he get the hat? And it was that hat. And he hands it to Elena, like, we need to wear the hat. And she's like, no, we don't need to wear it. Like, we're good. So I just loved how it ended. I'm very big for, family, ending and getting together and creating a lesson, you know what I mean? Like Derek didn't believe in the superstitions, but he believed in Elena and her family and her story, and how love brought them together, the love of the Chiefs. So I thought it was a great story. I didn't really expect it to turn out the way that it did. You know what I mean? I think the reason why it says a Chiefs love story, I had another idea in my mind, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a great movie. I loved everybody acting in it. Like I said, if you like to see movies that has a great cast, definitely see this movie. Like I said, I teared up when Derek had everybody look under the seat and they all had a hat, because it was so emotional and so important and special to Elena and her family to see him pick up on that and kind of rally everybody behind her and let her know, it's not silly tradition, we're going to carry it on, we're behind you, you know what I mean? And it was just such a touching turning moment in the movie, that I was surprised I was getting choked up. I loved it. So I love that about movies too. You think it's about one thing and then you realize it's really not, and it's just a very touching, emotional, family oriented story, that was about football, but at the heart of it, it was about family, and togetherness, and spending time with each other, and creating those memories. It's all about, spending time with family and making the memories. So if you have a chance to watch it and you're not a football fan, or if you are a football fan and you don't like the Chiefs, still watch the movie. I mean, it's not about whether you love Kansas City Chiefs or, you love Travis or you're a Taylor Swift fan. I mean, it's great if you are, but you don't have to love the Chiefs or love football to watch it, because in the heart, it's about family, and togetherness and memories. So definitely a great movie. I encourage anybody to watch it, whether you like sports or not. It is still a great story. So for this, I definitely, by all means, I definitely rate this 5 gold crowns. I mentioned, my rating system. I loved all the characters. I didn't dislike anything. I thought the way they did it was so beautiful. Very believable. Very believable, and realistic, to the point where superstition, sports fans take it very seriously. Sports fans are very serious about their team. So, and it made me feel good. It had a moral at the end, everybody rallying around them, togetherness. I mean, I'm still thinking about it. It got me choked up. Any movie that gets me choked up, whether I'm surprised or not, you did good. You did. It was a great movie. I encourage anybody to watch it. So definitely get 5 gold crowns from me for this movie. And I hope you enjoyed my review. I hope you're able to catch the movie when you watch it on Hallmark. And until the next review, I will see you then. Bye.